Okay, we will start. We will start with the next module, that is attitude. Okay, so just write a small simple definition and then we will explain. Just write a definition over there. Attitude is learned predisposition. It's a learned, enduring predisposition. Nobody will ask you the definition. Predisposition to think, to feel, and to act. It is not seen in the chronicle. That's why I want you to write this. Okay, learned enduring predisposition to think, to feel, and to act in a specific way. So you can see here three components from the definition itself: think, feel, act. Okay, to think, to feel, and act in a specific way towards a social object. In a specific way towards a social object. And the social object means it can be, just write comma, it can be a person, it can be a person, organization, social issue, etc. Okay, so it is having three components. We'll come to this when we discuss about the structure of attitude. So if you see this definition, it is the learned enduring predisposition to think, to feel, and to act in a specific way towards any social object, and that can be any person, organization, or any issue. Now when we discuss about attitude, we talk about positive and negative attitude, or we will see in terms of favorable on one side, that is what mainly we consider as positive attitude, and unfavorable attitude. Okay, so it is generally reflected in terms of like and dislike towards something or someone, like what we have discussed here, towards any social object. It can be a person, it can be organization, it can be a social situation, it can be anything. So it can be positive, negative, or I can put it in this way: favorable, unfavorable, like, dislike. It may be, you may show a favorable attitude towards a particular section, maybe a particular religion, unfavorable attitude towards a particular religion, favorable attitude towards any particular situation, unfavorable in a different situation. So this is what you mean by that. Okay, now when we discuss about the structure of attitude or the different parts of attitude, as you have seen in the definition, exactly the same as what we need to discuss here. Think, feel, act, right? So you can see from the definition itself, there are three parts. So the structure, you can see the CAB. C is cognitive, okay, and then this is affective, and this is behavior. So three parts is cognitive, affective, and behavior. You can write it completely: cognitive, affective component, and behavioral component. Just write cognitive component, affective component, and behavioral component. So this cognitive component is the thinking part. Okay, so cognitive component is the thinking part, internal aspect, and affective component is the emotion or feelings. Okay, so here you can see it can be positive. Muskan, please turn off your mic. It can be positive or negative. This feeling towards something or someone, it can be favorable, it can be unfavorable, it can be positive, it can be negative. Okay, so when we talk about positive feeling, what do you mean by that? Positive feeling, like happiness, right? So happiness, you can see an example. Elation means extreme kind of happiness. Joy, happiness, etc. Those will come under the positive feelings. Okay, so under the affective part. And negative, like jealousy, hatred, etc. Hatred towards a particular religion, particular community, etc. Jealous. Okay, So these are negative feelings, positive feelings, negative feelings. So feelings is part of the, which part of the attitude? The affective part of the attitude. So cognitive, that is a thinking side, then feeling side, and then finally the action. So you see, basically the definition which I have given to you is basically showing this structure only. The definition is talking about thinking, feeling and acting part. So this is the cognitive and this is the affective and this is the behavioral part actually. Okay, so the definition comprises of three parts. That's what we explained here separately. The three components of attitude: cognitive component, affective component and behavioral component. This was actually asked before and it can be asked again. The components of attitude, the structure of attitude. Okay, so this is the action part. Third one is action part. Now, when you discuss about formation of attitude, okay, so when we discuss about formation of attitude, we need to discuss about the determinants. So like what we have discussed in the context of formation of ethics or determinants of ethics, you remember that we have done that topic and there we have discussed the main sources, right? Sources of values. What are they? The main determinants that we have discussed. In the previous context, we discussed about family, we discussed about education or school, we discussed about religion, okay, we discussed about media, we discussed about peer group, we discussed about culture, etc. Right? This is what exactly we have discussed in the context of sources of values. Exactly the same is what we need to discuss here also. So there is no point in separately discussing this. Formation of attitude, the main determinants or the main sources. Family is going to play a very important role. The education, the school in which you're studying, the extracurricular activities of the school and the curriculum, everything. Religion is going to play a role. The peer group is also going to play a role. Media will shape your attitude because media will give that awareness and thinking part, etc. So, okay. And there is very famously said 3 E's in shaping, or which is actually helping in the formation of attitude. The environment in which you are living, that is the first E. This environment means, I mean the social environment, okay. So that will come under family, education, religion, all these will be part of social environment, okay. So the second E is actually the experience. So your experience is also helping in formation of your attitude, okay. And the third one is education, obviously. So this education, when I'm talking about, it is not the education that we have discussed yesterday, not only the classroom education. And when I talk about education here, it is much more than classroom education. So 3 E's, you can just remember like this: environment, that means the social environment in which you are living is playing a very key role in the formation of attitude. This was actually a question, okay. And then your experience, very important, you need to explain this, okay. And then education. So these are the 3 main points that we need to discuss here. Otherwise, determinants, it is the same as that of what we have discussed. Now theories of attitude is there, 3 theories are there, but I haven't seen that they're asking theories of attitude. But anyway, we will discuss this. It is directly there in your textbook, okay, the Chronicle textbook, it is there. So theories of attitude formation. Theories of attitude formation. The most important one is actually classical conditioning theory. Classical, just understand, nobody will ask you this theory, but the main thread of this is what you need, okay. Because when we discuss about how to change the attitude in your case study, you may need to use this theory that we are going to learn here, because ultimately once you understand this theory, you will be in a position to tell how attitude can be changed. For example, how to change the parochial attitude to the modern attitude, right? So how to change the bureaucratic attitude, like bureaucratic apathy to compassion, etc. So we need to see how attitude can be changed. That can be a question, and that can be a case study. That can be a theoretical question also. For solving that question, we need to know this theory. Nobody is going to ask you what is this theory directly. Okay, so classical conditioning, or the other name is Pavlovian conditioning or Pavlovian experiment. Pavlovian conditioning. Okay, so what he did is this theory is connected to a dog and the bell. Okay, so every time when he ring the bell, he offer the food and he observed the dog. Okay, so he kept on observing continuously, and what is actually happening is after some time the dog realized that when the bell is ringing, the dog is going to get the food. So the dog is now going to connect the bell with the food. So whenever the bell is ringing, the dog will get the food, and it repeated over a period of time. And then the experimenter, this person actually stopped providing food. Now there is no food, only bell is there, but the same reaction you can expect from the dog, like mouth watering, saliva is coming. So he observed that this way attitude can be shaped. So in classical conditioning, what is generally done is two things will be put together or conditioned together. Two things will be conditioned together in such a way that it forces a person to believe that two things always occur together in correlation with other. So this dog here started believing that bell and food, this will occur together. So it has been printed now. So that way you can this lead to the formation of the attitude, right? So for example, a child who is listening from his childhood onwards, a particular religion is creating problems in the society. So he will come across a person from that particular religion. Next time he will think in that way only, right? So I hope you understood the point that I want to tell you. You from the childhood onwards, you are saying, or your family members, your father, mother, your teacher, the newspapers, the media, and everything is telling, or from everybody's mouth, the student is hearing or listening that this particular religion is creating the problem, right? All the terrorist activities or etc. is connected to this particular religion. So even while selecting the friends also, the child will be, even when he is growing up also, he will be very careful. He may not select the friends even from that particular religion. So that will be conditioned. That's what I mean by classical conditioning. So I hope this theory is clear. So here what is done in classical conditioning, the two things will be conditioned together in such a way the people will believe that these two things will always occur together. So that's how it is conditioned. For example, this is one case that I have told you. The child who's listening about a particular religion creating all the problems in the world, from the childhood, from the media, from the parents, from the teachers, from friends and everyone, will create an attitude with respect to that particular religion. And when he come across that kind of people, those religious people, he will have a different attitude, which is already conditioned. That's what you mean by classical conditioned. Okay, similarly, like in a patriarchal society, like girl child is considered not desirable, right? Or girl will not go for work. Okay, so anyway, girl child is not going to work means what will be the mindset of the parents won't invest on education. Anyway, you need to give dowry, okay, and that itself is a liability. So first of all, if this is a case, girl child or girl will not go for work. So first of all, there is a problem. Okay, not going for work. Secondly, there is a investment required in terms of dowry at the time of marriage. So what will happen? The female child will be considered not desirable, okay, not preferred, and male child is considered as asset, right? So this is how this attitude is actually formed. So when you look from the male child perspective, you consider it as asset. So these two considered together. So that's how it is conditioned. So you need male child because male child is an asset. You don't want female child. Why? Because it is a liability. So this is how the attitude is formed. Okay, this is what you mean by classical conditioning theory or the Pavlovian conditioning theory. Two things are put together and it is made believe that, or you'll start believing that this with this and this with this, okay, or this with this, like this. So that's about classical conditioning theory. directly there. If you want to read, you can just read from the book. I'll tell you the page number also. Page number 118. In fact, you need to go for one reading of the complete. So you can just go through it, just one paragraph only, exactly the same thing, the same story is what is discussed over there. Okay, now the second one, if you see reward punishment theory. Reward, this is not there in that book. Reward punishment theory. Okay, so now when will you give reward? You will give reward, or when you find reward, you will actually create a favorable attitude, right? Positive attitude or favorable attitude. So reward is actually associated with a favorable attitude, right? Reward. And punishment, see, if you get punishment means you will create an unfavorable attitude with respect to those particular social phenomena or whatever it is, right? So crime, if it will lead to punishment means you will have unfavorable attitude. Okay, and if something is rewarded, right, you're going for some occupation or some better occupation, it will be rewarded the most, then you will create a favorable attitude. So anytime you see a reward, you will consider it as favorable. So it will develop a favorable attitude. If you see punishment, it will automatically create unfavorable attitude. Okay, now this reward, again, when you talk about, it can be positive and negative. Okay, negative in the sense deviant activity. Okay, now what do you mean by deviant activities? I hope you might have heard the term norms, right? We have discussed about values. Norms means what? If you see this term norms, norms means the expected behavior. What is expected out of you? So when you are sitting in this class, what is expected out of you? The norms are mainly listen to the class, don't turn on your mic in between. Okay, so these are the norms. Similarly, in society also there are certain norms which we follow, right? When you see the teacher, you will stand up, you respect the teacher. Or if you're going for a marriage, you will not wear a white sari. So these are expected behavior. It is expected out of you in a society if you are living. That's what you mean by norms. And if you violate norms, see, if you are just turning on your mic here, is there any possibility of punishment? No, right? I can tell you that turn off your mic. Similarly, if you are wearing a white sari in a marriage, nobody can punish you. If you violate law, then there will be punishment. But if you violate norms, no punishment. If you violate law, there will be punishment, there will be criminal prosecution, criminal trial. So that is criminal activity. If you violate norms, this is deviant act. Okay, so here when I'm talking about deviant act means mainly violation of norms, sometimes violation of laws, or any unfavorable things that you do is also considered as deviant. So I hope this point is clear. Norms. And here what I'm talking about is when we discuss about reward, okay, reward will create a favorable attitude. That's what I'm saying. But you see here, it can again be positive and negative. Negative means you do some deviant act, and if you are getting rewarded, okay, then it will create a favorable attitude towards that. For example, robbery. You do this, it's a deviant act, it's against the law, it's against the norms. So when you do robbery, you are getting rewarded, you will become rich automatically. Okay, so what will happen? It will create a favorable attitude for doing bad things. Why? Because doing the bad thing, you are getting rewarded. I hope you are getting it. So when we discuss about reward punishment theory, mainly what you need to see is reward will create favorable attitude, punishment will create unfavorable attitude. But here reward, I can again say positive and negative. For the negative act, if it is rewarded, then for the negative act, there will be a favorable attitude. Similarly, when you talk about punishment also, it can create positive and negative. Okay, so can you give me an example for this positive? Punishment create a favorable attitude or unfavorable attitude. For example, whistle blowing, if you talk about. Whistle blowing actually is part of your syllabus only. Whistle blowing, is it a good thing or bad thing? It is considered as good thing, right? We will come across many examples of whistle blowing because you are exposing the it could be corruption, it could be any unexpected or bad things which is going on will be exposed through whistleblowing. It is actually considered as good from the societal point of view. But if the whistleblower is punished, then what will happen? It will create unfavorable attitude, right? So I hope this is clear that actually whistleblowing is good, right? But here, if the whistleblower is punished, it will create an unfavorable attitude with respect to whistleblowing. Otherwise, you are exposing the truth and it is considered as good. But if you are punished for that, then it will actually create an unfavorable attitude towards whistleblowing. Okay? So that means the point is, if the good things are punished, you are doing good thing, but if it is getting punished, then it can change the good thing, or it can create an unfavorable attitude towards the good thing. So we are discussing about attitude formation. The theory is related to attitude formation. So like rewards will create favorable attitude, punishment will create unfavorable attitude. So good things, if you see, generally considered as favorable attitude, you should have a favorable attitude towards good things because generally it will be rewarded, right? But in some situations, when you do the good things, if you are getting punished, what will happen? It will automatically create an unfavorable attitude with respect to that. So next time you won't do that. Okay? So that is what you mean by reward punishment theory. This is how attitude is shaped. Okay? Now again, when you talk about another example, you may believe that honesty is not rewarded, right? You are an honest civil servant, so this honesty is not rewarded. So what will happen? Will you create a favorable attitude with respect to honesty? And on the other side, if you see your friend, so he is politically very loyal. Politically very means political loyalty is there. That means you do good things with the political patrons, etc. So you obey them, you listen to them, you do whatever they say. So if you're politically loyal, you will be getting the good postings and the plum postings, etc. But if you're honest, then you're not getting any reward. You will be posted in some least important positions. But if you are showing that political loyalty, you're getting the good postings. So now here, how the attitude will be changed of a civil servant. If you see honesty, he will actually develop because it is not going to be rewarded. In fact, if you are honest, it will be punished by giving very least important postings. So what will happen? There will be an unfavorable attitude which will be created with respect to honesty. So you will even tell your juniors that don't remain honest, right? If you remain honest, then this is a problem that is going to face. On the other hand, if you see political loyalty, if you are politically loyal, you will be getting all the best postings, plum postings, okay? And then what will happen? You will create a favorable attitude and you will recommend to your juniors also, do this and be loyal to this person or this particular party. So what will happen? They will give you the best postings and everything. So I hope you understood the good things which should have been rewarded, but if not rewarded, instead if you are getting punishment for that, then it will create an unfavorable attitude even with the good things. Bad things, this is not considered as a good value, especially from the point of civil servants. What's the most important value of civil servant that we need to discuss? We will discuss that, political neutrality. But here you are showing political loyalty. So showing political neutrality, you are punished. So you will get a unfavorable attitude. And showing political loyalty, you will be getting reward. So favorable attitude. So I hope this point is very clear to you. So the point finally here is reward associated with favorable attitude, punishment with unfavorable attitude. Okay, so this is another theory, reward punishment theory, with respect to the attitude formation or how attitude is shaped. Third one is very easy only, theory of social learning. Theory of social learning. Okay, so here social learning means what? You will learn from others' experience. Okay, so in the previous cases you were the active agent. Okay, so here others' experience, what the other people will say, what the other people's experience. For example, when you there are many people used to say that when you enter into share market, for example, I'm talking about, when you enter into share market, you will learn from experience. But some smart people will say, before entering into share market, learn from others' experience. Okay, so this is what exactly happening here. You will learn from others' experience. So social learning involves learning from others' experience, and which will help in shaping the attitude. Okay, so you develop a favorable attitude by seeing that others are getting rewarded. For example, you watching this person, or this person is getting rewarded by doing certain things. So you will develop a favorable attitude with respect to this. It is actually extension of the previous theory of reward and punishment only. And on the other hand, if you see B, or the other friend is getting punished. So what you will do, you will create a unfavorable attitude with respect to this. So it's simple, learning through others' experience. That's the social learning. That's the theory of social learning. Okay, so 3 theories: Pavlovian conditioning, and then the theory of reward and punishment, and then theory of social learning. I can repeat: Pavlovian conditioning, 2 things, A and B set together, and this is the reason for this. So it is believed like this, okay? Or these 2 will occur together. It may be in terms of cause and effect, whatever it is. So that is what Pavlovian conditioning. Reward and punishment, when you talk about, it is mainly by giving reward, it will be like favorable attitude. So wherever reward is attached, you will get a favorable attitude. Even to bad things, if you are getting reward, that will create a favorable attitude. Even to good things, if it is getting punished, you will create a unfavorable attitude. Okay, so reward, that is favorable attitude; punishment, that is unfavorable attitude. But even for good thing, if there is a punishment, it will create unfavorable attitude, even for the good things like honesty. Okay, and even for the bad things like robbery, if you are getting reward, then it will create a favorable attitude, political loyalty instead of political neutrality. So these are examples. Social learning means extension of this only. Seeing others are getting punishment and reward, you will learn and you will shape your attitude. Reward means anywhere reward is attached, what will be, why you want to become an IAS officer? You are getting rewarded in terms of good life, in terms of good postings, all those things. So you will develop a favorable attitude with respect to that, right? So if you are not getting all these facilities, if you are not rewarded, you will not develop any favorable attitude. So why you are preparing, why you are doing all these things? It is because of the rewards. So when the reward is there, generally favorable attitude with respect to anything, not here. Okay, so that's what I have told you. Even in bad things, if you are getting reward, then what will happen? There will be a favorable attitude towards the bad thing. Even for good things, you are getting punishment. For example, I have told you, right? Honesty or whistleblowing. You're an honest civil servant, so some corruption you have seen, so you will blow the whistle. Whistleblowing, you are exposing it. So this is good thing, but you will be punished. It will be against code of conduct, etc. So you will be punished. So next time will you do this? No, you won't do this. So your attitude is shaped with respect to that. Even for good things, you are getting punished. So you will now create an unfavorable attitude. Now see the theory of social learning. Another person, C is your friend. So C is learning through your experience. So you are doing a good thing, but you are getting punished. So will C do this? No. C will also create a unfavorable attitude towards this good thing now. C will also don't go for whistleblowing or honesty now. So that is the third theory. That is related to social learning, theory of social learning. Learning from others' experience, learning from others' mistakes. Now the next topic is, this is a main part in case study, what they will ask you, or in not in case study, in general. Okay, so how this is, you can change the attitude. Okay, so theories of attitude change. Theories of attitude change, or how attitude can be changed. In fact, the first theory and second theory will remain the same only here. How can you change the attitude? like you can shape the attitude. The first theory is applicable. You can connect A with B, and you can, you can establish the relation here. So you can change the attitude, right? Secondly, by giving reward and punishment also, you can change the attitude. For example, when you talk about the example that I've given, girl child is considered as liability, right? So what is this? This two are connected, right? So girl is connected with liability. Now what you need to do? Girl, from liability you need to make it as asset. That's what you mean by changing the attitude. Now how can you do this? How can you do this? You have to go for reward theory, right? So what can be done? You can introduce different schemes, right? You can study, you might have studied many schemes like Dhanalakshmi scheme, okay, and then Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, okay, so Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana. So all these, and even the parents are also getting money in the bank account of the female baby. So if that is the case, female or the girl child will be considered as an asset rather than a liability. So what will happen? There will be attitude change. So how attitude can be changed here? Through rewards. So for female child, you should be giving rewards. Then there will be a change in attitude. The girl child will be considered as a asset than a liability. Okay. So this is what you need to write. Again, the same theory only, theories of attitude change, theory of attitude formation, theory of attitude change. It is actually one and the same. So maybe this is your attitude. A is your attitude. You need to change to A dash. So what you need to do? You need to do exactly the same thing. Give some rewards with respect to what change is required. If you need to consider girl, if you need to change from liability to asset, so attach certain rewards with girls. So then you will consider girl child as a asset, and the attitude will automatically get changed. Okay. So two theories you can apply here. So such contradictions you will see in society across. Now, what is the public attitude with respect to police? When you talk about police, you go to a police station with some case. Main problem is with the delay in filing FIR. So they were first reluctant, because once you file FIR, then there's going to be a big task for the police people also, right? You have done with the FIR under 155 CRPC, then what will happen? You have to investigate, and more than investigation, filing charge sheet and all those things is going to be a big headache for the police. So what they will do is they will only try to compromise the case, or they will delay the FIR. This is the attitude generally, okay? And also you will see exploitation. So you are going with a complaint with police, okay? So what the police will do, not even registering the complaint, call the other party and will exploit the other party. So this is what generally happen. So now your attitude with respect to police need to be changed. That means the police system should adopt some change, right? It could be, now you can see it should be from exploitation to helping. Okay, so you can see in Kerala Janmaitri police station. Okay, so it should not be moral policing, it should be helping the public. So that is what exploitation to helping. This is the change that we need to have. Okay, and like no delay, you should reach in time if there is an issue, if there is a case which is going on, if there is a riot which is going on, or if there is any issue which is going on, whatever it is, you got the complaint immediately, timely, you have to reach on the situation and try to tackle the issue. Also register the FIR in time if you are convinced that it's a clear-cut case. Okay, so if that is the case, these are the ways you need to change the attitude. Okay, so Janmaitri police station you can write here as example in Kerala. When you talk about attitude, traditionally, if you see in traditional society, the jobs are not like modern society, right? Especially before industrialization. So before industrialization, a joint family is preferred, but now nuclear family is preferred. So there should be an attitudinal change. There will be a change which will happen automatically. Okay, so traditional society will consider joint family, or more population will be there in traditional society, or more members in a family. There is no population control. because every member is considered as an asset, right? Because mostly it is physical labor. And also, if you see the traditional society, life expectancy is considered very less. So you don't know, even if 10 members are there in a family, how many will survive for long. And everybody is actually contributing to the family. So more members are considered as required in the family, traditional society. But in modern society, it is not that manual jobs and life expectancy is so high. Now, do you think that much of population, that much of members is required in a family? No. And instead of joint family, nuclear family is preferred. So you need an attitude change. So what we can do, you have to give some reward, right? Or reward or punishment. Like if you follow one child norm, or if you follow two child norm, then there will be reward, right? Electricity bill will be less, or water supply, whatever it is, there can be some kind of reward or some kind of punishment. For example, in the panchayat election, if you have more than two child, you cannot contest election. Okay, so that two child norm, so this is a punishment. So your attitude will change from having more child to less child or less than two child. And you can also, this maternity benefit act, if you talk about, right? Maternity benefit act, after two child, that should not be there. So you can amend suitably, and amendment is already there. So that kind of salary, the benefits you won't get if you have more than two child. So you need to change the attitude here. Okay, and third is the most important one, and this is what you are going to use in your case studies. Persuasion. And you have to read this in detail from the book only. I have taken content directly from Chronicle. So read from there. I'll explain what is it. Persuasion means what? It's a method of attitudinal change only. You are targeting a group or individual, and through democratic method, you will go for convincing. So when we talk about persuasion, you are trying to convince him, and here nothing is imposed, no punishment. Okay, there is nothing which is imposed. It's all about convincing through democratic means. Okay, so and by convincing, you are trying to change the mindset, and it is not through fear or terror. Not terror. It is not creating any fear. You are changing the mindset. You are changing the attitude through persuasion. What is the definition of persuasion? What are the components of persuasion? We need to see. That can be asked as a question. This was asked as a theory question, also case study. Most of the case study, in fact, you need to talk about persuasion. This is what, for example, you will be put in a situation. You will be a district magistrate or a superintendent of police. So you may need to, negotiate with the people. So persuasion is required in many of the cases. So this is very important for you. And who's saying what to whom, and what message, etc., all are very important when it comes to persuasion. So what is persuasion? With respect to a particular group or a person, okay, in a desired direction, you have to go for convincing. This is what I mean by the democratic method. It is not through any fear. It is not imposed. So that is very important word, not imposed. It is trying to convince. You are requesting. It can be anyways democratic means. Okay. So what are the factors which shape the outcome of the persuasion? The different factors. Mainly, the different factors which shape the outcome of persuasion. It can be, who's saying, or the statement you can write, who says what to whom. Now, who says means what is the source. If it is district magistrate or a superintendent of police in district, this will have higher value, right? Rather than a panchayat president or sub-inspector of police. So who says, that means the source of persuasion is very important. What means the message that it is conveyed, that is very important. To whom, that is the target audience, right? Target or audience is very important. So we will take one by one, source and the message and target. So when you talk about the source, what are the different factors which will affect the source? The person who's going for persuasion, there should be a reliability, there should be a credibility, there should be a trustworthiness. you don't want to take down this, you will have this in the lexicon book itself. Trustworthiness or credibility, okay, authority, okay, and people should like. So there is a likability aspect also. For example, if some celebrities are coming and saying something, people will listen to that. Okay, so there is a factor of likability aspect also. Okay, now authority means who is saying, what is the authority. For example, if you talk about a panchayat president, okay, or village sarpanch, panchayat president, he's saying something. More than that authority will be there if there is a district magistrate, right? More authority will be there if it is by a chief minister, and more authority will be there if it is a prime minister, right? So this is what I mean by authority. What is the authority that person have to convince the people? Credibility means it could be anything. It could be knowledge or expertise. It could be integrity of the person, or it could be the integrity of the source, the good intention of the source. Okay, so see here, even if the content is same, all the four people can deliver the same content, but it matters who's delivering the content, right? If it is CM, will be more valuable than DM. So that's what the first part, that is related to the source. And then message. When you talk about message means, I'm talking about the content which is actually delivered by that person. So not only the content, the manner of delivery. So how you deliver the content is also very important, right? And you see there are three parts. Again, the three principles is there, like logos, ethos, and pathos. So logos means it is a logical arguments. Ethos is the ethical component. That's what the trustworthiness, ethical component. And pathos means the emotional aspect. So these three actually is considered when it comes to the content or the message. Okay, so there should be some logical component should be there in the message. It has to be ethical, and it has to be taken into consideration the emotional aspect also. So see, the point here is, when you are writing the case study, these things will be useful to you. Okay, who's delivering? Because you will be put in a situation where you are a DM or a superintendent of police. That's the normal case study, right? So the authority wise it is fine, the source wise it is fine, and the content of delivery you have to focus on this. Okay, there should be ethical dimension, there should be the emotional aspect, and logical aspect also need to be discussed in the case study. Now, what is the manner of delivery? When you talk about manner of delivery, it could be related to language. So you should deliver it in the language which the other person also know. Okay, so the way you modulate the voice modulation, the tone of the voice, very important. Okay, so street play, placards, all these can be the different manner of delivery. Now the third aspect, that is the target, the audience. Okay, so their ideology, their religion, their cultural preferences, etc. is very important. So you have to be very careful when it comes to the cultural preferences and religion when you're trying to go for persuasion. Otherwise, what will happen? It will lead to counterproductive. If you try to, they feel like you are imposing something. So that should not actually happen. And that's what is understood as boomerang effect. Okay, just 1 minute. Let me see the definition of boomerang effect. It is there in the textbook. I just missed it. That can also be asked. Yeah, page number 130, you can see the definition of boomerang effect. In case if it is asked, just go for it. It's like if you try to impose it on some others, it will be counterproductive. The other community will take it in a different way, so it will create problem. So it's against what I've told you, right? Already I've told you it should not be imposing on others. It should be democratic and it should be convincing. If you go for imposing, it will create problem. Either you can write in that way, or you can go with that definition. Page number 130, the definition is there. So take down that. Now, what are the possible outcomes of persuasion? This also should be there in your answer. Either you will meet the objective. So there will be some objective. So the desired objective will be met, or that means what? You're trying to change the attitude. So you will be able to bring the desired attitudinal change, right? So desired attitudinal change. Okay, that means the behavioral change you can expect. Okay, sometimes the outcome means it can go the counterproductive also. So this situation need to be tackled. This is what I mean by the boomerang effect. Okay, so any doubt from this discussion? We will discuss from civil servants point of view what is the attitude and what should be the attitude, etc. tomorrow in the next session. That is again going to be very important for case studies. That is from the point of view of civil servants. What we have discussed now is what is attitude, what is the theoretical part, what is the theories related to the formation of attitude, what is the theories which is related to the change in attitude, what do you mean by persuasion, etc. And the attitude which is from the point of view of civil servant, that was actually asked as a question also, that we will discuss in the next session. Or the relevance of attitude from civil servants point of view, or what type of attitude that the civil servants should have. Okay, any doubt here?